LATD, what is good? We are back once again. As always, I'm one half of the LATD duo, RG from the 843, aka Rodney, aka Rodney Not So Rich. And today, as always, I have, I think, my co-host.
Oh my goodness, Lord have mercy. Hey y'all, this your boy Jay, aka King J, man. I just working out in the gym in the morning.
You're getting swole. I see you. Coming a long way.
Shoot, I trying, bro. I trying.
Yes, sir.
But it's like, hey, it's like this, man. We back with another video, man. What's good with y'all, boy, man?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And today we have a very special topic for y'all, all y'all PlayStation fans out there.
Yes, sir.
Top 5 PlayStation exclusives of all time. We're gonna be doing our personal list. And to start off, I'll say that growing up, I was always more PlayStation. To this day, I've never owned a 360. I never have owned a One, never owned a Series X. I've always been PlayStation over everything. And, I got some folks to this day be telling me, oh, why? You might as well leave that thing behind. You need to get you a PC. But, I understand the benefits of PC. But for me, PlayStation has always been where it's at. That's where I grew up. I would say a lot of my favorite franchises you'll see in this list are PlayStation exclusive.
Same.
And they define my childhood and they kind of shape my taste as a gamer. Mm-hmm. So with this list, you're just gonna see a whole lot of that. A lot of these games are games that are very near and dear to my heart. Most of them are among my favorite games of all time, and it's just gonna be a fun list to get through. And it's gonna be all eras of PlayStation 1 all the way to 5, the current day.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you got anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, PlayStation over any station, you feel me?
Yes, sir.
And it's like PlayStation was so near and dear to my heart because back in the day, me and my cousin Ronnie, what's good, Ronnie? Out there, you know what I'm saying? He introduced me to a lot of these games that we're about to talk about. Well, okay, maybe not a lot of them,
a fair
amount of them out there when I was a kid. So the PlayStation always been near and dear to my heart. Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's get going.
Right, yeah. So I guess I'll go ahead and go.
Go ahead, shoot. I've been wanting to hear this.
Yeah. I feel like my list is gonna trip you up a little bit.
And that's why I was so sleepy today. I was playing on the PlayStation at home after the workout.
Yeah. I feel you.
Yes, sir. PlayStation.
All right, starting number 5. And for me, this is a personal it's personal because these are games that I play and do love.
Right.
But these are also games it's an unbiased list in the sense of these are the games that I feel have most kind of defined PlayStation across all eras.
Right.
So for me, number 5, Spider-Man 2018. Yeah, I would give it to Spider-Man 2018. Okay. And the reason I would say that is because I would say that what Spider-Man 2018 did for Insomniac is kind of what Uncharted did for Naughty Dog in the sense that it kind of raised their profile and their standing within the industry because don't get me wrong, Insomniac was well respected and they had been given their flowers before because Insomniac had made Resistance.
Yep.
They had made Sunset Overdrive. Yeah, so they had their fair share of notoriety from within the industry.
Yes, sir.
But I feel like Spider-Man 2018, not only was that the game that really kind of brought them up as one of the premier studios of Sony,
right? I
also feel like that game was one of the top 2, I would say, killer apps of the PS4 era.
Yeah,
that was a game that everybody was excited for. Everybody wanted to get their hands on it, and then on top of that, it was part of an era in the sense that when it dropped in 2018. That was the same year that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came out. So it was kind of this big era of Spider-Man. Then Infinity War and all that.
Fire movie.
Yes, sir. We'll talk about that someday. But yeah, it was kind of a game that sort of helped define its era. Right. And that's what a lot of these games on this list are. They're era-defining, console-defining, generation-defining games. Mm-hmm. Games that when you bring up the console, these are games that are synonymous with it. Right. So that's why I put Spider-Man 2018. And I will also say that the Spider-Man franchise as a whole, because now you got Miles Morales and then 2 just dropped this past October.
Yep.
It's kind of the first, I think that Spider-Man, the Insomniac franchise is kind of the most important modern day IP that Sony / PlayStation has.
Right.
Because, Uncharted has been over, God of War is probably going to be defunct for a while.
Yep.
I would say Last of Us, that's not coming out anytime soon. People like Horizon, but I don't think it's like one of those insanely beloved franchises like some of these other games on this list are. So I would say like that game is arguably the most important franchise that Sony has currently. So that's why I would go ahead and put that there. All right. And number 4, God of War 2018, of course. Now, Spider-Man 2018 is one of the killer apps of the PS4, but God of War 2018 is the killer app. That, when I think of the PS4 and the exclusives that came out for it, it's God of War 2018 and everything else. Mm-hmm. And I say that even as a huge Last of Us Part 2 fan.
Yeah.
I would say...
Give Last of Us Part 2 their respect.
Yes. There you go. I'm gonna speak on that in a little bit. But I would say God of War 2018 is deserving of that title as the number 1 best exclusive for the PS4. Because what it did, it took a legendary franchise, the God of War franchise, and brought it back for a new era, a new generation, new coat of paint, different way of storytelling, new characters, new world. They turned Kratos, who was arguably, and Kratos has always been one of my favorite video game characters, so I'm not hating on him, but they took a character that was arguably one-dimensional, and they turned him into one of the most morally complex anti-heroes in all of gaming, just off of that one game. And then you add in just how quality it was. I mean, the game is considered to be one of the greatest games ever made, not just even PlayStation. Oh, yeah. And for good reason. I remember the first time I played this game, I was just in awe of everything. From Kratos, and Atreus, their story, to the graphics, to the gameplay. It was just a game that gave everything that fans wanted to see, old fans. They gave us what we wanted to see, because I'm a longtime God of War fan. I've been a huge fan of it for years by the time this game came out. So it did the impossible. It brought in new ideas and new elements without alienating and taking away from the core of what God of War was established to be.
Right.
So I would definitely say that 2018 kind of pulled off the impossible. It brought in a new demographic, a new era of gamers and fans when it came to God of War, but it also managed to keep that core audience and understand who's still checking for these games. So
exactly, I 100% agree with you on that.
Yes, sir. So God of War 2018, definitely one of my favorite games of all time. Definitely one of my favorite games of all time. So I have to give it its flowers on that. Even though it's not my personal favorite PS4 exclusive, this is an unbiased list. So I'm going with what it is I feel is most deserving. Right. And I'll say as far as impact, it's God of War 2018 and everything else.
I feel you.
Yes, sir. Now, number 3, there's going to be some people that's going to be surprised to see where this game in particular is ranking.
Oh, no.
Oh, how could it not be number 1? The biggest Last of Us fan I'm playing. Or it's Last of Us. Last of Us is 3rd out of 5. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to hear your top 2.
Yeah. Oh, I got you for sure. But
what?
Here's what I say. Here's what I say about Last of Us. Last of Us, first and foremost, is my favorite game of all time. If you know me, for the last 10 years, I've been singing this game's praise. I think that this game is in the top 20 greatest games, period. This is my favorite game of all time.
Explain yourself at number 3.
Yeah, I'm going to get to it. It's been my favorite game of all time since 2013 when I was 14 years old. I remember the day that I bought this game, came home with it June 14th, 2013. And I remember to this day, I got home, I played this game for 8 hours straight. Played it for 8 hours straight. And there was a glitch going on at the time where like the save data was getting corrupted, so it wasn't saving. So I woke up the next day and was getting back on the game, and all my progress was gone. But I love this game so much, I couldn't care less. I love this game so much, I didn't care at all that I had to go back and play them 8 hours all over again. What can I say? Joel and Ellie are 2 of my favorite characters ever, not just in gaming. I think Joel is one of the greatest anti-heroes in gaming history. The gameplay, the graphics, the story. I mean, the story, everything that could be said about the story has been said a billion times, but I'm going to just reiterate it. Amazing game, morally complex situations, scenarios, and just overall, this game really kind of, in my opinion, won Sony the generation, quote unquote, because this was the last big exclusive that kind of was the swan song of the PS3 era, because it came out in June of 2013, and the PS4 came out in, I think it was November of that year. So this was pretty much the end of the generation. So they couldn't have ended the generation on a better note. As far as this game goes, Naughty Dog, there was a lot more pressure for them to deliver, because at this point they had 3 Uncharted's out, and we know what Uncharted did for Naughty Dog's reputation in the gaming industry.
Right.
So this was just another big win for Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog was on a roll. They were at a point where they couldn't miss if they wanted to. So Last of Us is arguably the greatest game they've ever created. That's debatable. It's my personal favorite, but I can see why another game on this list may be deserving of that spot, but I'm going to get to that. Second, Metal Gear Solid 1, all the way back on the PS1. Now, Metal Gear Solid, full disclosure, is my favorite video game franchise of all time. I love those games in a way I can't describe. They're weird, they're eccentric, they're out there. I just mess with it. I don't know what it is about Metal Gear Solid that I like so much, but ever since I first played it, when I was 15, I believe, all the way back in 2014, I was just in love with Metal Gear Solid. And the first game and the third game in particular have always been my personal favorites. But Metal Gear Solid 1, just because its story kind of edges it out a little bit over 3, just because of how much I love 1. Now, 1, I feel like Metal Gear Solid is almost lost on modern gamers how influential this franchise and this game in particular was, because this was the game that kind of made gamers and really developers start to get to a different level of storytelling in gaming. They kind of started to treat it more like this blockbuster cinematic sort of experience. And the thing about Metal Gear Solid 1 is that, as old as it is, because it came out in 1998, so before we were even born, the thing that's amazing about it is that even though the graphics are really, really archaic and, way outdated, obviously, the voice acting still holds up, the ambiance, the atmosphere, the music still holds up, and it's just a game that you could just tell was so ahead of its time. Just some of the ideas that Kojima was working with and experimenting with, it was just so ahead of anything that the PlayStation or any other console at the time had to offer.
Right.
And it really helped establish the stealth action game genre. And, this was the first of a franchise that was one of not just Sony's, but gaming's, premier franchise and titles. After this Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, 4, all of these games were all era defining. These were games that shaped billions of people's childhoods. And so Metal Gear Solid 1, for what it was to the PlayStation console and just to gaming in general, I definitely had to place that at number 2. But number 1, you might be able to guess what it is at this point. Let's take a guess. It's another Naughty Dog franchise.
Uncharted 3.
No. Uncharted 2.
Uncharted 2.
Yes. Uncharted 2, I believe, is the number 1 Sony exclusive of all time. And let me tell you why. Uncharted 2, to me, is the most important Sony released exclusive in the entire 2000s. It came out in 2009. I believe it's the most important PlayStation exclusive of the 2000s. And let me tell you why. Because, when we talk about God of War, we talk about Ratchet and Clank. We talk about Sly Cooper. If anybody remembers that. We talk about Infamous. We talk about Resistance. We talk about all of these franchises that were released in the 2000s. The thing about those franchises that as great as they were, the thing is that they were released in an era where Sony was on a roll. Right. Metal Gear Solid, as I said before, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, another Naughty Dog franchise. they were coming out in a time where Sony was just, they couldn't miss. But in 2009, when Uncharted 2 was released, back then the PS3 was off to a relatively slow start.
Right.
They were kind of seen as being behind the competition because back then Halo 3 had come out. That was obviously a big win for the 360.
Right.
God of Wars 1 and 2 had came out. Or not God of War, Gears of War 1 and 2 had came out, and those were some of the premier franchises. So, whereas Sony at the time, you know, they had like a Resistance and whatnot, but they didn't really have that big killer app. And that was one of the main things that they were initially criticized, is that they weren't bringing the big hits and the big exclusives that made people want to buy a PlayStation console, a PlayStation 3. Right. Yeah, I'll say Metal Gear Solid 4 came out in 2008, and that, in a lot of people's eyes, is considered to be one of the first big exclusives for the PS3 that kind of helped put it on the map. But the reason I think Uncharted 2 was more important was because it came out of left field.
Yeah, right.
And it just was a game that it had hype, but nobody was expecting it to be as great as it was. And it really began the era in which Sony started to come back. It really kind of kick-started, because the PS3 was released in 2006. But I considered Uncharted 2, because Uncharted, the original, came out in 2007. Great game, people love it, but it wasn't really looked at like Uncharted 2 was. Uncharted 2 put the franchise on the map and made Naughty Dog, you know, it put Naughty Dog on a level that it hadn't been previously, because, you know, they had Crash, they had Jack and Daxter, but this was the first time that they were looked at as like, oh, these are like guys that we really expect like the highest of quality from. You know, Uncharted 2, you know, it came out in an era where PlayStation kind of was on the rocks. It needed saving. It needed some kind of new blood, something to reinvigorate people's interest in a Sony console. So not only did it do that, because with Uncharted 2, it also kind of raised the bar and the standard in gaming storytelling to a whole nother level, because Metal Gear Solid 1 sounded like a blockbuster game, but Uncharted 2 was one of the very first truly blockbuster games. Like, just from the graphics, the story, the voice acting, it feels like you're playing a movie. You know, it feels like it's an actual movie that you're playing. So, you know, also, this was when most people first got into Uncharted. You know, most people kind of skipped the first one and went to Uncharted 2. Uncharted went on to be a legendary franchise with Uncharted 3 and then Uncharted 4, a game that's also considered to be one of the greatest games ever made. So, what I always say about Uncharted 2, and this is what I was just thinking, if The Last of Us kind of helped win Sony the generation, I would say Uncharted 2 was what kickstarted that path to greatness.
I was about to say the same thing. It like propelled it forward.
Yes, exactly. Because you know how, like, and I'll give you an analogy. You know how people say that Ray Allen saved LeBron's career?
Right.
The thing is that most people don't want to understand is that LeBron scored the last 6 points that put them in position to where that shot mattered as much as it did.
Right.
So I'll say that Uncharted 2 was those last 6 points, and The Last of Us was that final shot. That's what kind of won Sony the generation. That's what kind of like brought it home.
That was a dope analogy.
Yes, sir.
I rock with that, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But Uncharted 2, like I said, I believe, and also just the quality, like it still holds up to this day. You know, I grew up, you know what's crazy? This is actually the game that made me want a PS3. You know, I remember, you know, Christmas, I was wondering, did I want an Xbox? Did I want a PS3? There were two factors that won the PS3 over for me. It was the fact that Batman Arkham Asylum, PS3 exclusively, you could play as Joker. You couldn't play as him on the 360. That's for all you know, you longtime gamers out there. I don't know if y'all even remember, you know, the PS3 edition of Arkham Asylum, you know, it had play as Joker on the cover. I still have it to this day. It was that. And it was Uncharted 2. You know, those games helped define my childhood. Uncharted 2 is really what made me a PlayStation gamer, period. Uncharted as a franchise is what really did that. You know, I'm a huge fan of God of War, Last of Us, like I said, is my favorite game of all time. I played Infamous. I like Infamous a lot. I played Resistance, Killzone, Jack and Daxter, all of them. But that all got started because I had on the PS3 console that I was inspired to ask for by Uncharted 2. So I would definitely say Uncharted 2 is the number one PlayStation exclusive of all time. But that's enough for me. That's my list. What do you think?
Fire. You took a lot of what I was going to say though.
Oh, for real? My fault.
No, you good. But it's like, that's a really solid list.
Yeah.
And that made me rethink a lot of stuff on my list.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like that was fire, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You said hats off to me, right?
Hats off, bro. You know what I'm saying? Am I gonna go with my list?
Yeah, go ahead.
So
I'm waiting. I'm ready.
So I chose my list is based off of the games that gave me the most enjoyment when I was younger.
Yeah.
A lot of what you said too about cultural impact.
Yes.
But these are the ones that made me fall in love with PlayStation and everything.
Okay.
So at number 5, I did have Infamous Second Son at number 5.
Yeah.
Because it just relaunched the Infamous series for me.
It did, but unfortunately, we haven't seen anything from Infamous since.
Right, exactly. So,
that's Sucker Punch. That's Sucker Punch.
Yeah, that's Sucker Punch. So.
Ghost of Tsushima, and not to interrupt you, Ghost of Tsushima was also in consideration, but Spider-Man 2018 just beat out Ghost of Tsushima.
The only reason why I didn't put Spider-Man on here is because I wanted to keep it like video. If you started as a video game, I wanted to end as a video game. You know what I'm saying? I can understand that. So that's the only reason why that wasn't on this list. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, Miles Morales then would have been boom right there.
For sure.
So, but it's funny that you say Ghost of Tsushima because that's my number 5.
Oh, okay.
The reason why Ghost of Tsushima is my number 5 is because it's what restarted Sucker Punch after we haven't gotten a single thing from them in like a while.
In a minute. It's been like at least, what was it, 5
It was about 5 years.
Infamous Second Son was 14 and then Ghost of Tsushima was 2020.
2020?
Yeah, it was 2020 because I remember playing it during quarantine. Boy,
I thought it was 18.
It was 2020.
Okay, cool. 5 years. So, yeah. And the mainly just for that cultural impact alone is like people were starting to think of like if Sucker Punch still had the vigor and the gall and the creativity to make another game. Well, wham bam, thank you, ma'am. They brought us Ghost of Tsushima,
arguably their best game.
That's a big argument on that one too. It's just it's just the care and time that they took to make this game. Like you start off as a real honorable samurai, but it does because it actually always begs the question of is the right way always the right way?
Yeah, because he starts off being kind of rigid, kind of
setting his ways.
Yeah, he's setting his ways because as a samurai, it's an honor based system. So he's thinking that he has to continue down the path that he was taught, but as the game goes along, he starts to feel like he has to take whatever measure necessary to save his home. Because that's what if the mangas are playing dirty, we can't. It's not working for us just to be this big. Straight up and down. Sometimes it says sometimes you instead of just being black and white, sometimes you got to enter the gray area in order to get what you want. And that's the biggest thing that I took away from this game is that there's more than one way to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. And that's why I really love this game. Not only that, just the graphics, the gameplay, the graphics, you feel like a legit samurai, bro. I felt like I was Afro Samurai in that game. No, that game had me because I'm a big fan of samurai and ninja and Japanese stuff in general. So that game, it really makes you feel like a samurai.
Exactly. I'm still playing it at home right now to this day. Yeah. Because anyway, onward. Number 4, I have The Last of Us. Surprising.
Oh, really?
The reason why it's this low is because back in the day, my mom, big Christian, same here, love her. But she wanted to shield me from a lot of games that I wasn't, able to, that were kind of violent and stuff like that. So, no shame to her on that one. Of course, she's my mom. She wants to protect me. But after I got older and started playing a little bit more games, me and Rob started becoming best friends, and he's telling me all about Last of Us this, Last of Us that. I'm like,
yeah, you better believe I've been preaching Last of Us for 11 years now. That game will be 11 years old next month.
Bet.
I've been preaching it for years and years, and I'll defend Last of Us Part 2. I don't care
I will too.
I don't care which one of y'all think Last of Us Part 2 ain't it. That game was fire. It's underrated.
Super underrated.
I digress before I go on a tangent.
But it's like, appreciate
I'm
it.
a fallback.
But it's like Last of Us. So he's telling me about it. I'm seeing like Watch Mojo videos about it and seeing different like this guy called The Fat Bread on YouTube. He's breaking down different characters on Last of Us. So I'm like, you know what? Let me give this a try and see why Rodney loves it.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, this game is amazing.
And you experienced the PS5 version first?
The PS5. Well, let's start with the PS4. It got all T-posed and everything, glitched out.
Yeah.
So then I moved to the PS5. But either way.
So you got the Part 1 remake then?
I got the Part 1 remake.
Okay, yeah. So you got the best experience right out the gate, because I started with the 3, the 4, and then the Part 1 remake makes a huge difference. That's the definitive way to experience the game.
Oh yeah, and I'm glad I experienced the game that way.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, my boy Ryan from Mercedes, shout out my boy Ryan Johnson, man. He put me onto it as well. He's like, that first scene, Jay, it's gonna get you, bro. I'm telling you. I'm like,
for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna play it. And boy, when I saw that first couple of minutes when you play it, I don't want to spoil nothing. But
game is 10 years old. I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to. But
when you play as Joel's daughter in the beginning, and then what happens to her later on, I'm like, oh my. Like, I paused the game. I just started looking at the floor like, bro, what's going on? Yeah. And that's not even really the heaviest part of the game. We fast forward. We meet Joel. We play as just Joel, just this jaded dude ever since he lost his daughter.
Yeah, rightfully so.
And it's just
it's 20 years later. So
exactly.
We don't really get to see what he's experienced in the last 20 years up to when we first, meet him in the apocalypse.
But that's the thing. He just really just becomes jaded, down on his luck. Just wants to get by, if that.
Just surviving at that point.
Exactly.
That's all you can do in this world.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, then he meets Ellie and he finds this, hope again in humanity and stuff like that. Granted, Joel isn't really a good dude by any means, but let's be real. I kind of hated the fact in the game, and this ain't a knock on the game, but it was just funny how certain characters would try to call Joel out, but they were doing the same things. Yeah. So it was just the morality of the show. Like, you see this one of the show, the game.
Show was great too, by the way.
Right. You got this whole Empire versus Rebel Alliance type plot line in the thing. But the difference is why it takes that trope and flips it on its head. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you got the Fireflies versus Fedra, and the Fireflies being just like everybody else. They nothing really that much special about them. Yeah. Same thing kind of with Fedra, but it's just the story, the scale, despite the bleakness of the story.
It just feels like it's just an underlining hope and humanity.
Exactly. Despite the bleakness, it's hope and humanity, and it's also beautiful parts of it. But let me go on and get to my number 3. That's all for Last of Us.
Yes, sir.
Now, number 3, I actually had Uncharted 2, Among Thieves.
Okay.
So I'm saying a lot of what you said. But for me, I've seen a lot of people talk about Uncharted, especially because I started playing it around Uncharted 3 was coming out. Yeah. So I'm like, I had the Nathan Drake collection because I got a PS3 when I was like 13. And I was like 12. I was like 11 to 12. You
had the Nathan Drake collection on PS4?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
No, well, not just that. I had it as well
on PS3.
On PS3 when it was like in a whole bundle type deal.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm like, people talk about Uncharted 1 and Uncharted 3. Let's see what Uncharted 2 is about. And when it started off on that train scene, I'm just like
one of the greatest openings ever, not just in gaming, period.
And it's exactly, and it just goes from that train scene. It just gets better and better, and because over time,
it just hooks you in because it starts in medias res, so it starts in the middle of the game. So it's kind of like working back from how Nate got to that point is what really keeps you hooked with the game. Exactly. Like when you finally figure out how he got there, it's just amazing, and you climb up from like different angles and stuff like that, and you see from a different perspective.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, going from that museum scene and just trying to steal this Chintamani stone or something like that.
Yes, sir.
But it's like, it's more to the story than just getting back at this guy named Flynn who betrayed you and left you out to pretty much rot in the jail.
Yeah.
Then you see Sully and come back, and you see Chloe. Oh my gosh, Chloe. But anyway,
ain't lying.
Anyway, I'm
Especially
sorry.
Lost Legacy, man.
Boy, what?
That's a whole different discussion. But yeah, no, I agree. And you know what the crazy thing is? Uncharted 2 is number 1 on my list. 3 is my favorite. You know what's crazy? Actually, matter of fact, Uncharted 2 is actually my second to least favorite game in the franchise.
Word.
Because it's 3, 4, and then it's 2, and then it's 1. But 2 to me is the most impactful and it's the most important game, not just for the franchise but in general. So when people think of Uncharted, they think of either 2 or 4.
Right.
It's usually 2 or 4. 3 kind of gets overshadowed nowadays.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Which is sad, because 3 is probably my favorite too. But
3 is my favorite.
But the same reason you said Uncharted 2 walked so that Uncharted 3, 4, Lost Legacy could run, and Last of Us could run. So that's the biggest thing why it's number 3 for me. Now, number 2,
okay,
I do have an Infamous game. Do you want to guess which one?
2.
Yeah.
Thank you. I never beat 2.
Oh man.
I never beat. Full disclosure, I don't think I beat any Infamous game. I might have beaten one long time ago.
I tried beating one, but it was like super, super difficult. So I just looked at the story. But anyway,
1 is old too. Like, it came out. That came out the same year as Uncharted 2. Matter of fact.
Yeah.
It came out the exact same year.
Infamous 1 is extremely old. But the reason why I wanted Infamous 2 is because that's the one I started out with, but going back to Infamous 1, seeing where Infamous 2 improved upon everything.
Yeah.
Story-wise, story-wise and like graphic-wise and gameplay-wise, I'm like, yeah, no, this is definitely up here for me. And I played this game for like hours on end, bro.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell, like, I was doing side missions. I was trying so hard to stay a good guy in that game, because you already know people didn't like conduits back then and they cussing you out, but it's like, nah. Let me go ahead and just take the high road, literally, and hop on the wires and just.
I really wish that Infamous had gotten another one after Second Son.
I agree.
But I feel like now, because of where Insomniac is at with Spider-Man, I don't think if we were gonna get another Infamous game, or was it Sucker Punch? It was Sucker Punch. My fault. But I feel like, now with Ghost of Tsushima and all the attention's kind of turned on that, I don't know if we're ever going to get another Infamous game. And I hate that, because I feel like it never truly reached its potential. Right. I feel like it was one of those franchises, it got better over time, but it never had like that magnum opus type of game like in Uncharted 2.
And the reason why I took Infamous, I agree. I took Infamous Second Son off this list is because it didn't have the lasting impact. It wasn't anything bringing me back other than just nostalgia. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't anything in it that I wanted to finish. I didn't want 100% the game, but this Infamous 2 is the one I actually wanted to 100% in this game. And it's just like what they did with Cole's story as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And the whole, don't even get me started, the karma system, I love that aspect of it too. Mm-hmm. It's on a level, to me, it's arguably better than Red Dead Redemption 2's honor system, in my honest opinion, because the way it affects the story.
Yeah.
When you play as Cole, you can either be a selfless, heroic person who gives his life by the end of the game, and or you can be become the beast, essentially.
Yeah.
And save Conduit Kind, which is both sides really aren't. Well, the evil side really isn't as bad as you would think, because it's like conduits are still out there. You shouldn't want to just kill all of them. Pretty much the whole mutant human thing, and X-Men. But yeah, it was just the whole complexity of both sides is what I love mostly about the game. And also, I want to be a good guy, because I like being a good guy, man. Like, I don't want to hurt nobody, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's how I was in Red Dead 2.
Yeah,
that's how I was in Infamous 2, if I remember. I got Infamous 2 when it first came out, all the way back in 2011.
Right.
People
talk about Cole's not a good dude. I'm like, well, you probably play the evil side, so
But like I said, I feel like unfortunately, Infamous is one of them franchises that's almost like kind of a cult classic. I feel like
exactly.
Infamous has never had the star power or the legacy of an Uncharted. It was always, I wouldn't say it's probably a B tier Sony franchise.
Nah, A tier. I won't give it S.
Reputation.
I'll give it A tier.
Because I don't feel like because like you talk to like a normal gamer, like not even a normal gamer, I guess a casual gamer, quote unquote.
I get that.
Infamous doesn't necessarily have the not to hate on Infamous because I loved Infamous too, but I feel like it never really reached the pinnacle of star power that like a Last of Us or an Uncharted did,
or Ghost of Tsushima is having now.
I feel like it kind of is almost it's almost forgotten now.
Yeah, it's
like
true.
It's Pantheon. It's almost kind of gotten drowned out.
And that's the biggest reason why I chose Uncharted 2 and Infamous 2 as well.
Yeah, because
they're so underrated.
I wouldn't say Uncharted 2 was underrated.
Well, yeah, but that's the biggest reason why I chose.
Definitely underrated.
It's super underrated. No, you good. Super underrated, bro. Like, if anything, I would have rather had another Infamous over another
Those
great.
two?
No, over Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Because I love Rift Apart, but still, Infamous is what really another game that really made me fall in love with like superheroes as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it always,
even the art style and everything.
Exactly.
If I remember correctly, where was there a comic?
Yeah.
I think there was a comic.
Yeah, there was a comic.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Like in the game, aren't there like certain scenes that's almost like comic book?
Exactly. That's what I was about to just say. I was just about to say that, bro. Because all the cutscenes are like comic pages and everything, and it's like. And that's why I loved it so much. That's why I love Infamous Second Son, because the way that the compare and contrast with each other with the cutscenes in Second Son being more when they do like flashback scenes, those scenes are like more like hand drawn, while these are more comic book accurate in Infamous 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, Infamous 2 is my number 2 favorite PlayStation exclusive game.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, my number 1 is Sly Cooper, not Thieves in Time, Honor Among Thieves.
Okay, yeah. No, there's a particular friend of mine. I know he's gonna be when he sees this.
Sir.
When he sees this, he's gonna be happy. Shout out Abe.
Yes, sir.
You're a big Sly Cooper fan.
Yeah. Hey.
All two of y'all.
Yes, sir.
Y'all gotta talk about it.
Now, this is the game. Shout out my boy Ronnie. I love you, bro. He's the one who really, really showed me the Sly Cooper franchise as a whole, and I fell in love. I was gonna put Thieves in Time as my number 1.
That was 4.
4, yeah.
That was 2011 too. I think that was PS3.
No, that's 14.
Was it? No, I thought it was 2011. I could have sworn.
Yeah, it was 2011.
Because it came out the same year as Twisted Metal.
Yep.
Yeah, it came out the exact same year. I remember that specifically. And Arkham City and Uncharted 3. That was a good year. Man, and Infamous 2 came out that year too.
If y'all want to see a top 10 video game franchises from us.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we could do that.
Or top 5. Let us know down in the comments, man. Let us know.
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram comments, YouTube comments, all comments. Comment on.
Yeah, we do. Like, as you can see, we do this. All this information, this isn't research. This is off the dome.
Fact.
This is just information I've collected over the last 10 plus years.
Same.
I remember this stuff.
Let me get it back to Sly Cooper 3.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, bro.
My fault.
No. But it's all good. But it's like Sly Cooper Honor Among Thieves. When I haven't finished Sly Cooper 1.
Yeah.
But I finished Sly Cooper 2. Mm-hmm. And once I heard there was a 3, oh man, I started playing that one for like Infamous 2 again.
For sure.
The reason why I put Sly Cooper 3 on here, and really just any Sly Cooper game in general, is because it's that classic PlayStation that's so underrated. It's almost like you gotta give it its flowers. Sly Cooper 3 for me is like the Fred Taylor of video games. If y'all don't know Fred Taylor, the running back for the Jaguars back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, goated running back. But that's why I love Sly Cooper 3, because it takes like a big complexity as well with the story. As far as, as cartoonish as it acts, it's a pretty mature game, because at the end of Sly Cooper 2, one of the main characters, who's a turtle, Bentley, he gets hurt. And then Murray, another one of the main characters, he's like a hippo. He's a hippo. He goes off on his little journey to find himself, because he blames himself for Bentley getting hurt. And it's like, learning to like a lesson in there in the middle of the game, learning to forgive yourself and learning to, forgive others, but of course forgive yourself. Like I said, and that's another big reason why I love that game. That's one of the moments that touched my heart. But Sly Cooper as a character himself is just the dopest character to me.
Because he was really cool.
Ironically enough, being called a coon is anyway. But
you just had to throw that in there.
I just had to throw that in there. But it's like, But the idea, the concepts of like,
shoot, that's what they're calling Yasuke right now. But I digress.
Anyway,
among other things.
But the Sly Cooper being a thieving raccoon, like conceptually, is just a real dope concept to me.
Makes sense,
it's just real dope to me.
Yeah, because they wear masks, quote unquote.
Yeah, over their eyes, and it's like, and him having this long line of thieves in his family,
master thieves, yeah,
and exactly, and it comes up later on, and like how like family and bloodlines are very important. And all of should be important to everyone. You know what I'm saying? Ancestry and everything, which I want to do ancestry.com someday. But it's like Sly Cooper really is like in the pinnacle of his like maturity. In this game,
he's I believe he's about our age, quote unquote.
He's about our age, and it's like he's at the pinnacle of his maturity. He's getting better, but it's like you can tell he kind of wants out.
Yeah,
because his past is kind of catching up to him. The same guy that killed his parents wants to, kill him, and he just wants to pretty much get out of the life, but he wants to do like one more big score in order to finish it.
Which is kind of what Nate did in Uncharted 4. He was out, but then he got back in.
Exactly.
One big score.
Exactly, and it's I could be wrong about that though. So. But anyway, no, this game and everything was just like the biggest thing from my childhood. And when they came out with an Uncharted collection for PS3, I played
Sly Cooper
and Sly Cooper. Thank you. Uncharted 2.
Both,
But Sly Cooper collection, I'll just play that till the discs wore off. And everything. It's really not just a game for me. It's just the whole the franchise as a whole.
Yeah, I feel you.
When it came, but I just chose on Sly Cooper 3 just because it's my favorite out of them.
Personally, I can see that for sure.
But when it came back, when Uncharted, Sly Cooper 4, Thieves in Time, that's when I was like the most excited to see this game come back because it deserves it, in my honest opinion.
It deserves to come back now.
It deserves. Matter of fact, I'm looked up somewhere where it was coming back. It says, "Honor Among Thieves." No. Anyway, whatever. But no, after 22 years, Ghost of Tsushima devs cult classic PS2 platformer is back on PS5. I'm like, what?
Really?
I read that just like while you were on your doing your thing. My bad, bro.
No, you're good.
But it's like it's just what these games as a whole did for me. As like a gaming fan,
it sounds like it was to you what Uncharted was to me.
Exactly.
It was one of those franchises. I would actually say Uncharted is the most impactful gaming franchise for me. It's my very, very, very close second favorite franchise of all time, right under Metal Gear.
Yep.
But Uncharted undeniably had the bigger impact on me because that game was what really developed my taste as a gamer. Like I'm big on single player, linear sort of like very story focused gaming, and that's where you see that love translates to obviously The Last of Us, to the new God of War games, both 2018 Ragnarok. I would just say Metal Gear, of course. I'm more into that type of game, and Uncharted kind of cultivated that. So, Sly Cooper seems like it was kind of like the equivalent. Yeah.
It definitely was. But, it just really just touched my soul as a kid. Seeing all of this come back and us talking about this, like, you can tell we love this.
Oh, yeah. No, we love this stuff.
Yeah, that's all I got, bro. Cause
yeah, no, I hear you. Sly Cooper is funny. I've heard people over the years, Sly Cooper is the one franchise that kind of escaped me. Like, as a kid growing up, being as big a PlayStation gamer as I was, I got the Resistance collection at home. I got Uncharted. I got 2 and 3 on PS3, and then I got the collection, the PS4 Nathan Drake collection. I got the God of War collection. I have I think I already said Resistance, right?
Yeah, you did.
I still have Infamous 2 at home. You know, I have Killzone. You know, as a PlayStation gamer growing up, I kind of like dabbled in all of them. Right. But Ratchet and Clank and Sly are the two ones that always escaped me. I never got around to playing them in that era and that renaissance of my youth as a gamer.
Now, when we do our franchises list,
yeah,
you gonna see a lot more. This whole list is just games.
No, I got my franchise list. I got it.
I gotta get work. I gotta get to work.
I got my top few. I'll say, you know, spoiler, you know, warning. Mass Effect is very, very high up there. Oh, Devil May Cry is in there, but that I said too much. You know, another day.
We might have to do a top 10 list instead of a 5.
Oh, bro. No, we can definitely do a top 10 list. You know, I got plenty of franchises I can think of. Plenty.
I can't wait.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. But yeah, I've been Jay, man.
And this has been Rodney. You know, this has been, you know, a good conversation, good video. You know,
yes, sir.
As a lifelong gamer, PlayStation always will have a special place in my heart.
Same.
I'm glad to see that, you know, we're kind of winning over Xbox. You know,
right? I mean,
we're beating them. We're beating them with one hand tied behind our back at this point.
Pretty much, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. For 10 years, I've been hearing all this talk about how, you know, because back in the day when I was first getting into gaming, you know, I used to catch hell from everybody. Oh, well, you know, why do you got a PlayStation? PlayStation is lame. You should get it on the 360 so you can play Halo and you can play Gears of War. Now look at us. When's the last time you heard anybody say, oh, let's hop on Halo? Matter of fact, when's the last time you heard that about Gears? That the last Gears came out and nobody made no noise about that.
Yeah, the only time I played Xbox is because just to play the old games that I wanted to play when I was younger.
I always wanted to get the Master Chief Collection. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm playing that right now. Because you know I got my own game truck, Jay's Mobile Entertainment. Shout out, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But it's like that's the only reason we was out there May 4th at the comic book shop, you know. But yeah, that's the only reason why I even play Xbox, just to play the old games that I couldn't when I was younger.
Yeah, because nowadays their big issue is like they don't have the exclusives like they used to. Like Halo ain't what it used to be. Gears isn't what it used to be. Forza, you can only do so much with that before it get old.
Boring.
They tried their hand with some new stuff like Arise, Son of Rome. That came and went. I bet most of y'all don't even remember that game unless you a die-hard type of gamer. Probably don't even remember that game. Rise of Rome. That came out in 2013. You had Sunset Overdrive. That was Insomniac. That was good, but I just don't think anybody was really checking for it like that.
I'm not sure. I started playing that. I'm kind of done with it.
It wasn't Titanfall originally an exclusive, wasn't it? I thought it was the original Titanfall. I thought it was that one was exclusive.
Okay. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, it was a one exclusive because I didn't get it when it came out, but then 2 came out, which was the better game anyway.
Funny enough, Apex Legends is a spinoff of Titanfall.
It's set in the same universe. Yeah, we want Titanfall 3 over here.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I kind of do too. But
yes,
yeah,
sir.
bro, I'm good, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I said what I needed to say.
I've been Jay.
This has been Rodney.
And we are LATD, man. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.